Could Doctor Who's very first companion be returning? There is certainly a lot pointing that way, from Instagram posts to premiere appearances to references in the very latest episodes. I think she might just be. So let's discuss it. Susan is, of course, the Doctor's granddaughter, who he fled Gallifrey with in a stolen TARDIS before, while living on Earth in 1963, two of her school teachers, Barbara Wright and Ian Chesterton, followed her home to the junkyard on Totter's Lane, bit creepy, and discovered the TARDIS, kick-starting many years of adventures. After a year or so of these adventures, the Doctor basically abandoned Susan in the year 2167 in the aftermath of the Dalek invasion of Earth, kind of justifying it by saying he was letting her go to live her own life with her newly acquired love interest, David. But you know, he didn't actually check if she wanted to do that. He didn't check if she wanted to stay. He just left. He locked the TARDIS doors, said goodbye through them. Frankly, a bit rude.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
She has appeared once in the TV show since, and returned in Big Finish audio dramas as well. We'll talk about those in a second. But first, why do I think she's coming back? Well, several reasons. We've been getting more hints and name drops than ever before. In response to an official Doctor Who account post on Instagram about Susan's departure from the TARDIS, where it, highlighted a clip from that Dalek Invasion of Earth episode, Russell T Davies replied to that post saying, "Whatever happened to her?" Typical RTDTs there. That instantly got people wondering if he had plans for Susan. Then there's the fact that Carol Ann Ford, who plays Susan, was at the premiere of the 60th anniversary specials last year. Not unsurprising by itself, being she's the first companion and it being a celebration of 60 years of the show. But something to keep in mind, perhaps. Then there's Carol's age. She's 83 at the time of recording this video, which means there might not be too many more opportunities to bring her back, especially in a substantive capacity. It feels like something RTD might want to do, so if he wants to do it, now is the time. And then there's the most direct reference we've had to Susan in decades in the TV show. Certainly within the whole of New Who, and perhaps even since 1983 when she made her last on-screen appearance. In the recent episode The Devil's Called, the Doctor mentions to Ruby Sunday that at that exact moment that they are standing on the top of a London rooftop, that
I live over there. Right now, I live in a place called Totter's Lane. 1963, I parked the TARDIS in a junkyard and I live there with my granddaughter Susan.
Now, Susan hasn't, I don't think, been mentioned by name in the whole of New Who before. The most direct references we've had to her up until now was a photo of her that the 12th Doctor kept on his desk while working as a lecturer at St Luke's University in Bristol. And there's been vague references to the Doctor having a family at some point, and having had children, but never mentioned by name has been Susan. Until now. There is a story writing principle called Chekhov's gun, named after the Russian playwright who established it, Anton Chekhov. This is how the Toronto Film School describes it. Chekhov's gun is a narrative principle where an element introduced into a story first seems unimportant but will later take on great significance. The principle postulates that any seemingly unimportant element introduced into a story, an object, a character trait, a backstory, analogy, should later have relevance. Now, under this principle, it would be strange to mention Susan so prominently if it wasn't going to be significant to the plot later. That could mean the character actually appearing again, or it could be some other type of significance, but it greatly increase the likelihood that we'll be seeing her. Then we have the character of Susan Triad, played by Susan Twist. Susan Twist has popped up in many episodes already in this new era as various different characters, and it's presumed this is actually the same character hopping through time. We know that in a future episode she's going to be playing a character called Susan Triad, or S-Triad. S-Triad is an anagram of TARDIS, and the Doctor's granddaughter once claimed to have been the one to come up with that acronym. Coincidence? Again, maybe, but together with everything else, maybe not. Could Susan Triad be a regenerated Susan? If this does happen, I hope we also get to see Carol Ann Ford, maybe seeing how she regenerates into the Susan Twist version of the character, because it'd be lovely to have Carol Ann Ford back one last time, wouldn't it? But as I said earlier, this wouldn't be Susan's first return, not even on the main TV show. In 1983's 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, Susan was abducted from her post-Dalek invasion life and deposited on Gallifrey in the Death Zone, along with several other past companions of the Doctor and several versions of the Doctor himself. There, she specifically reunited with the First Doctor, played by someone other than William Hartnell, because William Hartnell had passed away by this point, but also met the Fifth Doctor. And that was a strange encounter, because she barely spoke to him and didn't seem to acknowledge him as the same man. She never referred to him as grandfather. It felt like she was talking to a completely different person. It was very strange. Then in Big Finish audio dramas, the Eighth Doctor encounters her again and discovers he now has a great-grandson, Alex. Spoiler alert here. Sadly, Alex dies. And yet, during the Eighth Doctor's Time War sets many years later, seems to somehow be alive again. At the time of writing this video, that mystery is still ongoing. Also in Big Finish, after Alex's initial death and the beginning of the Time War, Susan leaves her home on Earth to join the war effort, and those few adventures in the Time War are the last we hear of her. Now, it's very unlikely that any of the Big Finish stuff will be mentioned if she does appear in the TV show, and it may even be outrightly contradicted. We have to prepare ourselves for that possibility. But it's interesting just to know this isn't the first time that she will have returned. Of course, I might be barking completely up the wrong tree here. Perhaps all these Susan hints are just a complete red herring designed to keep us guessing and throw us off the scent of the real twist of the season, whatever that may be. I hope not. I hope we get to see Carol Ann Ford on screen again, because it would just be lovely. Frankly, just lovely. What do you think? Will we be seeing the Doctor's granddaughter this season? And if not, who is Susan Twist playing? Maybe, if she's not Susan, she could be a TARDIS in human form. To hear my theory on that, click the video on screen now. I'll see you for more Doctor Who videos soon. Goodbye.